All right, let's do business again. It's Business Incorporated, 25 minutes of giving you update from the world of business. And here's what we've prepared for you. We care about your safety online. What should you do? What should you look out for to protect yourself and your investments? In Zimbabwe, there's a new gold mining policy. What's that about? We'll find out. Afrexim Bank is giving Tunisia $500 million loan. Welcome to the program, and let's head straight to what's going on in the global oil space. We'll tell you at this time that prices fell, reversing slight gains at the start of the session. Investors are showing cautious optimism about an end to the conflict in the Middle East, and so we see the numbers down back to that red color, 1.57% for Brent, $76.68 a barrel. WTI is also down, the same direction, almost the same percentage, $72.73 a barrel. The price of commodity fell, also the U.S. Treasury, that's also following. However, there are concerns that Iran may use the profits from oil sales to rebuild its military. And President Donald Trump has asked if he could ensure that such a scenario would not play out. Closely related to that is natural gas. Price we see hovered just about $3.22. Also went down 1.53%. That's per million British thermal, the highest in more than 2 weeks, amidst higher gas flows now to LNG export facilities. And there's also the forecast of warmer weather. That's also, of course, reducing the demand and the price of gas. So average flows to major LNG export terminals edged up 17.2 so far in June from 17.1. That's what it was in May. And in the metal space, we also see red colors there. This red color should mean good signs. We see gold, spot gold down 2.2% and then we see spot silver also down. Platinum is down. Palladium is down. Copper is down. Stability means red color at this time. So this should give us a bit of comfort in the world, you know, because there's peace coming somewhere in the horizon. That's what the world and the market colors indicate. And the African Trade Finance Institution, African Export-Import Bank, Afrexim Bank, they signed a $500 million term loan facility with the Central Bank of Tunisia on behalf of the Ministry of Finance of the Republic of Tunisia, providing additional financial support for the country's key socio-economic and development priorities. The new financing adds to $1.2 billion already disbursed by Afrexim Bank to the Central Bank of Tunisia, further strengthening the partnership between the two institutions. Mr. George Alombi, the president and chairman of Afrexim Bank, said that the facility reaffirms Afrexim Bank's strong commitment to support Tunisia and the continent's sustainable socio-economic development. And they're grateful to the government of Tunisia through the Central Bank, and said that the Ministry of Finance for the growing collaboration, especially at the most critical time when international development finance institutions continue to deprioritize Africa for the message. And on the other side, the governor of Central Bank of Tunisia welcomes this continued partnership with the Afrexim Bank and says that it provides important support to Tunisia at a time when access to trade finance and foreign currency liquidity remains critical to sustaining essential imports. It says that the facility demonstrates the value of African financial institutions working together to address shared economic priorities and support national resilience. And Zimbabwe's new gold mining policy could undermine up to $500 million in annual export earnings by discouraging exploration investment and weakening future large-scale production. A new report shows this, warning that strict ownership thresholds may harm long-term sector growth and revenue. The assessment by Vincent Advisory comes a month after the government reversed small and medium-scale gold mining operations producing up to 20 kilograms of gold per month, or requiring capital investments of up to $15 million exclusively for Zimbabwean citizens. So we'll see how that goes and see if the fears of the report will actually come to be. So some time ago, we did see Mrs. Folorunsho Alakija, a cloned one, calling you to come and invest. And of course, we had an interview with her afterwards, where she said clearly, that's not me, it's fake. And these are some of the threats that are very evident and real on social media and other platforms. So let's see how you can recognize these risks and safeguard yourself and your finance. We'll be speaking to Adetunji Adebayo, is an information security professional, joining us virtually from London in the United Kingdom about this. Good afternoon and welcome to the program.
Yeah, good afternoon, Lee. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for bringing me up on the program.
Yeah, because even I myself, I've seen sometimes a cloned me asking people to invest in some schemes which I have no idea about. So what do you think individuals should look out for when they're online or to make decisions about investment?
Yeah, thank you, Lee. Yeah, well, cybersecurity, as we all know, is everybody's idea and what everybody should be actively involved in playing. Now, whenever you have this kind of a scam running on the internet, it's quite very, very difficult to identify them. But you must first understand that a threat actor is interested in spoiling your emotional side for you to now take a decision that ordinarily you wouldn't have taken. Now, the way to spot this is quite easy. Number one, they appeal to your emotion, your greed, your loss. If it is too good to be truth, please, it is not true. Now, when you look at the video you just projected now, you will see a lot of glitches in the video there, and obviously that is an AI video. But to the common man on the street, he doesn't know that. The idea is this: you must stay alert online. I have you. Number one is stop. You have to stop. Not every link is to be clicked. Not everything that is going on social media is to be deleted. Number two is confirm. Now, how do you confirm? There are, Mr. Folorunsho Alakija, she has a website which is legal and which she's been using to confirm for yourself about what you've heard on social media if it is really true. And when you look at the outrageous return on the investment, you will know that it is too good to be true. So it is after you have done these two things, then you can now act. So we must have that posture of stop and confirm, then we can act. Thank you.
Yeah, well, Ms. Alakija, obviously, she did say, okay, this is my real account and everything. And one thing that we hear commonly now, don't click on links. But there are some links, you know, that might have some genuine gains for individuals. Is there a way to differentiate them? Hello, Adetunji, can you hear me? It looks like he's frozen. Yeah, okay. I can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. So I was asking.
Yes.
Yeah. For instance, now they say don't click on the links, don't click on the links, but there are some links that are actually genuine. Is there a way to, you know, decipher between the real and the fake one?
Yeah, there is a way to decipher between the real and the fake one. One of the things we should first know about online is that trust. Digital trust is the backbone of that system. And for you to click on the link, you must be sure this is coming from a legitimate source. Like I gave an example the other time, when you have something that seems too good to be true, you need to confirm. When the whole idea was, was given on site about Mr. Folorunsho Alakija coming up with a business idea. Look at the return on investment. That one is something that is questionable, that's number one. You must verify every link before you click. Now, there's something called FOMO, the fear of missing out. And threat actors really leverage on this because they know people don't want to miss out. So what you can do in that situation is, if you find the link, you have to authenticate its source. And how do you do that? Is it from a registered URL that you know? For example, banks have their normal URL, and information cannot be coming from a bank and it will be lit.dy. No, that's not a legitimate link. No bank in this age will do that. All they will do is they project through their URL, www.their.url/org/.com, then it will now have a subdomain at the back of it. Now, everything boils down to awareness. And that is a lot of the things we are lacking about in Nigeria presently. We lack awareness. I want to appeal to the National Orientation Agency because everybody now lives online, whether we like it or not. It doesn't matter whether you are a market woman or you are a technical guy in a fintech industry. Everybody lives online. Awareness is key. We need to teach people, just like you're doing, what they should look out for online before they click on any link. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think two things you said stand out. Don't get carried away by greed. Don't be too greedy, because if it's too good to be true, then it's most likely not true. And then the other one is you just be at alert. Because I've even had some messages sent to me, and then perhaps they use a bank, but you will notice that the spelling is not totally correct. So that means you have to be very careful and at alert if you want to escape some of these losses from the fraudsters.
Definitely.
All right, thank you so much, Adetunji Adebayo, information security professional, for those tips to stay safe online.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, now, well, I don't know if you like burgers. A lot of people are watching their weight, and so they don't really talk about those fast food and all of that. But one thing is, we've seen a rare case where burgers, the hamburger, the prices declined by more than 11%. That's supposed to be good news, depending on how old you are and your area of interest. But right now, let's speak to analyst from financial derivatives company Ayobami Olatunji, who's going to tell us fast food, how is it being consumed at this time, particularly among the Gen Zs and the Gen X and the urban middle class consumers, who typically don't have a lot of time to waste. They're always in a hurry. If this reduction in the price of burgers has increased demand, if people will weigh price and health, let's find out. Ayobami, hi, welcome to the program. Has this decline in price resulted to increase in demand?
Thank you so much for having me. Technically, it depends, right? Because the market is heavily segmented. And yes, it is true that the price of burgers have decreased, but has demand increased? Let's look at the tactics that retail companies are doing. So first and foremost, yes, they are trying to protect their margins and increase the quantity of their burgers being sold. So first and foremost, they look at the price reduction. And yes, this has definitely increased demand, right, particularly for burgers, if that makes sense. And then this is because they're innovating ways to capture the market and get their interest aspect, because the market is very has a lot of competition. So these retailers have to appeal to them in terms of price, because the customers who buy burgers are price sensitive. So if a burger retailer reduces the price of the burger, right, we're likely to see demand for that burger increase.
So the people don't really look at the health concerns?
Okay, yes, it is true that there's an increase in the consciousness of wellness, and health and cardiovascular diseases and obesity concerns. But this has only divided the market into two, right? We have the consumers who will still buy burgers because burgers solve more than the problem of taste. It's convenient, and particularly with the increased efficiency with burger supply chains, it solves the problem of time. And yes, some of these customers understand the health concerns and the risks, but they still go on to buy it because of the reviewed preferences. What consumers say and what they buy can be different, right? And the second segment of the market are people who are health conscious, right? But the thing is, the demand is still there, right? So the demand only shifts. So they look for healthy alternatives. And the retailers who would, sustain their customer base are those who innovate, right? With increased transparency, like labeling the calorie, the calories, the protein, the fiber, all of these things, and using more healthy ingredients instead of using the red meats. We have lean meats, and these other things. So yes, that would definitely sustain demand and increase quantity sold for these retailers. So demand is it will shift, not reduce.
Okay, Ayobami, I believe you. Ayobami Olatunji, analyst, financial derivatives company. All righty, let's take a break now. When we come back, we'll head to the markets. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Watching Business Incorporated right here on Channels Television. And we head straight to the markets where we see a sustained recovery for the NGX. Woo! I wonder if that's to be sustained though. But I mean, we have more than 1% up at intraday, and we are up to 241,009.50. For Johannesburg is on the flip side, 1.16% down. And moving to other markets, Egypt is also negative. In fact, almost 1.5% negative. And Nairobi closed strong positive yesterday. Middle East, we see Dubai. In fact, from the Middle East to Asia and all of them, there's so much that we see going on there, a whole lot of drops and all of that. And even when we go to the United States also, we see that it's just the Dow that's positive. The rest are in the red there, NASDAQ, all of them. Asia is so red at the close of trade today. Let's see, can you imagine Kospi, South Korea, almost 10%. And we hear the big techs that are drawing all of this. Tech sell-off started on Monday and is still on. I don't know if that's affecting Europe also. Let's speak with Lars now. Lars, the sell-off on big techs is driving the red across many regions. Is that affecting you guys too?
Yes, certainly it is, Ini. We have a lot of red arrows here too, all across the markets actually. London, Paris, Madrid, all down about 0.5%, and the DAX and Frankfurt even further down at 1%. And that is because in Frankfurt, it's not just pressure from abroad. It's not just the general weakness in tech, which is, like you said, plaguing all markets here. No, when it comes to the DAX, we also unfortunately got some weak economic data out of Frankfurt with the purchasing manager for Germany at its lowest level in 2 years. So there's another load of negative news here, but definitely, yeah, Ini, we're seeing a lot of red today.
All right, and it's 10 years since Brexit. Losses, gains, how has it been?
Yeah, it was an interesting development back then. I remembered very well. In fact, I was on shift that night in the newsroom, and it had, of course, looked like a pretty much close referendum in the polls, but everyone around me in that newsroom was pretty sure that Brexit would never happen. I personally had no doubt at the time because we had been running so many reports on people and on businesses in England that had been worried about the economic consequences of Brexit. They ranged from manufacturing companies to logistics firms who were all worried about losing access to foreign labor, to fishing companies who feared that they would lose access to their fishing grounds. And so we all thought that the fateful night would just put an end to all this drama. But then, of course, we had that slight majority of Brits actually voting for the leave. The Brexiteers had convinced them that Britain would do better on its own, that the country could have a stronger economy, would invest more money, would invest its money wiser than just giving it to Brussels. So there were indeed many promises made, and now 10 years ago, of course, that whole thing happened. Brexit was officially decided.
Yeah, so when we look at from Britain from EU. Would you say it was all worth it?
Yeah, it was really not worth it at all. And in today's UK, most people do have regrets. They feel that they have badly miscalculated. For the past 10 years, the British economy has stalled. Trade has shrunk. Britain is poorer today than it might have been had it stayed with a common market. Britain's gross domestic product is at least 4% lower today, with some economists actually saying that the difference could be as big as 8%. And business investment is down more than 10% even. Brexit had a strong impact on the job market, with cheap labor moving out of the country and companies desperately trying to rehire. There's also border checks, and there were at times unbelievably long wait times for trucks crossing into the EU. It impacted shipping times and costs. Brexit led to trade being a lot more complicated and bureaucratic. It led to less access for students to international programs. So there was quite a lot of problems suddenly that Brits had to face.
Yeah, any chance of rejoin? Any chance of that?
It doesn't look like that is happening anytime soon, Ini, partially because it would really be a difficult process too. It took 4 years of negotiations for Britain to get out of the bloc, and some experts are saying it could easily take twice as long to hash out the details for the country to be let back in. Right now, the EU is in the process of admitting Ukraine and Moldova. But we're talking years of negotiations there. However, many Brits would likely prefer coming back into the bloc, not least as global partnerships are currently being reconfigured. Back when Brexit was being considered, many thought that Britain should move closer to the United States rather than the EU. But today, of course, under Donald Trump's administration in the US, they're actually being pushed much closer to Europe again. Meanwhile, without being a part of the common marketplace, Britain had to also learn the hard way that it is more a regional than a global superpower, and that it needs close partners indeed in order to have a stronger and more stable economy.
Yeah, well, you can't undo that, I guess. But thank you so much, Lars, for telling us that story this afternoon.
Thank you, Ini.
So let's close out with what's going on at the crypto space. We were celebrating Bitcoin yesterday. Alas, it's short-lived. 62,726.20. It's down almost 4% in 24 hours. And yesterday we had Ethereum at about 1,007, almost 6% down now, 5.79% in the last 24 hours, and a whole lot of red right there. And 4 stories making the rounds there. We see that the Bank for International Settlements has issued a new push for global regulation of cryptocurrency. People are talking about regulation, and it's taking a new dimension. And the United States has passed housing bill with 4-year Fed CBDC ban. CBDC back in the news, but this time not a very good one. And in South Korea, banks line up for expansion as the diaspora chooses crypto rail. So it's positive, negative, but things are happening in the crypto space. And that's it for cryptocurrency as well as Business Incorporated. Thank you so much for being a part of this 25 minutes journey. Oh, we did more than 25, 26 minutes. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Let's do it tomorrow again.